Story time. Let's. Hey, hey, hey.
Let me reverse it, get myself in view. Okay.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Story time.
Yeah.
It's your time to shine. You
Mm.
always letting other people shine, but this is your time tonight. Yes, yes. Just letting the people know that we are up in here, up in here, up in here. Yes. Instagram be tripping sometimes you play music, so I don't try to play it too long, but long enough just to let the person know it's their time. It's all about them. I want to say good evening, everybody. Good evening,
Hello,
good
how are
evening, good
you?
evening. I am so excited to have Miss. I don't know if many people know your name as Charmel McMillan, but
Yes.
everybody knows her as Shaw Town, like Chi-Town.
Yeah.
Char-Town Entertainment. And
Yes.
so we are so excited to have you here tonight just to give you your flowers and to give something back to you that you give for everybody else, you know?
Thank you so
And
much.
it is so exciting because I love entertainment myself and to know your background and everything you've done. It's interesting because when I was reading your bio, I said, wow, she started in 95. I started mine in 93. And so I said, oh my goodness, but you have superseded many things that I have done, and you have just been in this game for so long, so many people can learn so much from you. So what I would love for you to do before I dive into your bio and really go into the interview is to allow you time to just say hello, introduce yourself, and tell everybody that may not have met you before who is this grand CEO of Shawtown Entertainment that we know as Shaw.
I'm Charmel McMillan. That's my full name. And I've had Char-Town Entertainment, which is an entertainment and sports management company, for over 26 years now. And I've been blessed to work with over 300 national comedians, professional athletes, including the Mayweather family for 7 years, representing the face of Under Armour for several years, negotiating ESPN and NFL commercial deals for him, and along with the commercials featured Julio Jones and Cam Newton when they first came into the league, and UA combines and all of that. And then also national best-selling authors Carl Weber, Omar Tyree since 2002. I worked with some of Zane's authors, movie directors, playwrights, multi-platinum producers, several musical artists. I produced a lot of stuff nationwide and some things internationally. So it's been a blessed 26 years.
Wow, wow. So let me ask you this: before you got there, tell us a little about Charmel, the little girl, about your upbringing, where you're from originally, and was this a part of your original vision? I mean, was this a dream of yours from a little girl?
I grew up in Seat Pleasant, Maryland, Capitol Heights area. So I was hood adjacent, and my parents were educators. I come from three generations of educators,
Okay.
and so no, I don't. Well, you know what? I think by the time I was 7 years old, I had this epiphany that I was going to have my own business one day. And I remember announcing to my mom, because I would play by myself downstairs. She was a business teacher, so she would give me all the old business equipment. And so I would play downstairs with all the business equipment, like the typewriters and the files and all of that. And so she would call me up for dinner. I was like, I can't, I'm swamped. And she said, swamped with what? I'm 7 years old. I was like, I'm running my businesses.
Wow.
And so she would laugh and tell me bring my butt upstairs for dinner. But she said, "What does your business do?" One day she asked me, "What does your business do?" And I said, "I fix stuff." I said, "People tell me what's wrong, and I fix stuff." And I said, "I make their dreams come true." I said, "So when they tell me something, then I execute it." And
Wow.
so that's literally what I've been doing for 26 years. So from all the clients I just mentioned, from professional athletes to comedians to I fix stuff, from negotiating deals to brokering deals to making tours happen, being talent exec. It just depends on the clients over the years, and it's evolved into something I never imagined. So I guess I've spoken into existence at 7 years old.
You sure did. You sure did. Now, did you go to school for sports management or business management or any of
No,
that?
no. I went to undergrad. I have an industrial engineering degree in undergrad, double minor in mathematics and business. I have a dual master's in engineering and business management, concentration in contract law. And so, no, I didn't go to school for that per se. But I think, as Malik Youssef so eloquently said on my platform, you engineer entertainment. You move like no one else. You handle business like no one else. He said, so it all played out, so I guess that's kind of what happened.
So you are natural, and I agree, very articulate and very quick on your feet, and think like this. Was you always that way as a little girl in high school, and when you went to college, was you always that swift like that?
I'm business minded. So I've been that way since I was 5, 6 years old, and so because my parents were educators, my mom knew that I needed to stay busy all the time, and like when I started my foundation, I might be getting ahead of the interview, but I talk with a lot of my entertainment friends. And so one of my friends, Sinbad, said to me, when you start your foundation for exceptionally talented kids and exceptionally talented disadvantaged kids, who want to go into entertainment and the arts, make sure you don't overlook the extremely gifted, not just the ones who could fall through the gaps, because they learn differently or is hidden genius. He said, also pay attention to the ones who are extremely gifted, because they will fall through the cracks too if they're not properly handled. So I guess my mom knew at an early age, because I started reading really young and comprehending really young. And by the time I was in 6th grade, I was reading at a first year college level and comprehending at a senior in high school level, and so, I think I was fourth grade, I think, when that happened, something like that, fourth, 5th grade, something like that. And so they wanted to move me into high school from 5th, 6th grade. And my
Wow.
mom said, no, let her develop
Yes.
as a kid, and so I'm glad she did that, because, moms know, but she would always keep me challenged. So by the time I went to 2nd grade, I had a little attache. I had questions about what I wanted to know we were going to cover, in school. I was that kid. I had questions. I took academics seriously, even at a young age, and what I wanted to learn and making it known. So.
Excellent, excellent. So, are you talking about the foundation that you started when you speak about what Simba told you not to do? Was that with the CTE Vision Foundation Inc.?
Yes, that's CT Vision Foundation. So after I've been in the entertainment industry over 2 decades, I wanted to find a way to perpetuate the vision of giving back to young people, educating them on the business of entertainment. At one point, I produced the largest music conference probably ever in the DC area of the Behind the Music Workshop. And so industry worked off of that conference for years. It benefited, college kids, some high school kids, adults. It was a huge conference at the Hyatt Regency I produced. And so I realized the need for education, the perpetuation of that was essential. And that was the mark I wanted my legacy to be, in this industry, that I educated and empowered not only young people, but entertainers and artists alike, to know enough to be dangerous, and be able to speak for yourself, even if you have lawyers, attorneys, managers, know enough information to be dangerous. And so that's always been my goal, even with my clients. I don't hide information, or try to keep them in the dark. I want them to be empowered.
Excellent. So, out of all the people that you have been associated with, represented, negotiated for, who has been the most impactful in your life?
Who's been the most impactful to me? I don't
Maybe.
know. It's been hundreds and hundreds of people, and so people accuse me of knowing everybody. I've even worked with presidential candidates, and from the White House on down. I would say maybe Paul Mooney, because he was one of my mentors, and he taught me the business of comedy. I wanted to know about structuring shows. I wanted to know how comedians, structure their funny. I wanted to understand all of that coming into the game back in 94, 95, even before I started my company. And we had such an uncanny bond, even up until his death,
Hmm.
for 20 something years, that he impacted me because he believed in me from the beginning, to the extent that I talk about in my book, Just One Thing, that he said, I'd work for you for free. And this was at the height of his career. The
Wow.
person who wrote for everyone, from, Roseanne Barr to Richard Pryor to Red Fox to, creating Homie the Clown and working with the Wayans brothers at the height of his career. He said, I will work for you for free. I like the way you
Wow.
move. And so that impacted me because it made me know I had a voice and I had a place in this industry that I had knew nothing about and really had no aspirations of ever working in. I didn't have dreams of being in the entertainment industry.
So how did it happen? How did it happen? What was the first event you did? What was your position? And how did that take place? Tell us about this because there's some dreamers that might be on this live. There's some dreamers that might come back and do a replay that have thought about some things and they didn't have the experience and they need to know that anything is possible. All things are possible for them that believe. And I'm not sure where your faith is, but I'm hearing some faith in there too because I can hear how you have a belief system. And a lot of that comes from a spiritual foundation. So, what was it that took place the very first entertainment event? What was that for you?
The very first entertainment event, I started working on tours. But the way it happened, me getting into the entertainment industry unexpectedly, which is what the book Just One Thing is about, going from being a professional engineer and making six figures at a very young age, right out of college almost, completing my master's degrees almost immediately after undergrad in less than a year and a half, a dual master's while working full time. I was um, something tragic happened, and um, it kind of made me question my foundation and where I was in life. It wasn't about money; it was bigger than money. And I remember just praying and asking God to bless me and position me where I needed to be in life, where I could grow, where I could thrive. And God decided to put me in the entertainment industry unexpectedly. And so shortly after that prayer, I was over operations for a comedy club. And, and the book starts to talk about those things. It talks about what happened after that prayer, in a quick amount of time, and how things started to change suddenly, how just one moment, just one unexpected meeting, one chance encounter can change everything. One prayer can change everything suddenly. And that's what the book is about. And so my first thing was probably working in a comedy club and meeting a lot of entertainers from Monique to Paul Mooney, DC Curry. We're talking about the mid 90s, Guy Torrey, everybody who's like rising in the entertainment game at their beginnings, meeting them way back then. So my relationship didn't start with Instagram or Facebook. It
Oh
goes all the way
no.
back to the mid 90s.
Oh, of
And so
course.
I've been around for a long time. Um, and so then I think my first major thing was probably working on a comedy tour that was being structured with Def Jam comedians and stuff like that, and eventually becoming talent exec on that tour. So that gave me some footing and a little bit more notoriety. And then I just my name started traveling in the comedy world. And so people would come to me when they had, problems, contractual issues, wanted me to represent them. I couldn't represent everybody, but I could help them out of their binds, and make sure they were covered and make sure things were going smoothly for them. And then it just kept mushrooming into the music business. And I talk about, how those moments just started to align, that, life is really a series of defining moments,
Yes, it is.
and so that's what Just One Thing is. It's a culmination of just one thing moments, that happened in my life unexpectedly, yet orchestrated by God.
And I see that a young man put in here, he said, good question. He said, I'm currently studying Miss Shaw as a comedian and a businesswoman for my own career. So you got somebody watching you that's thinking about contacting you. Look at that. Look at that. So,
I
and that's,
can't
and
see
that's,
any comments. I don't know why, but I can't see any
oh my
comment.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Sometimes when that happens, I think you just hit the screen up and down and it'll come back. But young man, do me a favor, or anyone here, if you're just coming in, we're talking to Sharmell McMillan from Char-Town Entertainment. She's been in the business since 1995, has an amazing track record, a wealth of experience, are very influential, and you can learn some things if you're looking to get into the industry or you're in the industry, do's and don'ts. So feel free to ask some questions. Use the question mark box on the bottom. There's a little question mark.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
telling
that'll
them,
help.
put the question mark so that y'all can ask a question and I can ask her. And also on the top, there's an arrow next to the word live. Make sure you follow her because this is somebody that you want to follow if you are interested in entertainment or if you're just interested in business because she's a business minded woman. Shaw, you said something. You said that you prayed, and we all know that with prayer, if you ask, you'll receive. If you seek, you'll find. If you knock, the door shall be open. But
Right.
first we have to believe. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
as a man thinketh, so is he. You did that behind the music workshop years ago. Do you foresee yourself doing another workshop like that in the future? And is it something that maybe somebody can contact you for? Let's say me in North Carolina. What if I wanted to say, Shaw, let's do that here in North Carolina? Is that possible?
I mean, all things are possible, I guess. I've been getting a lot of, I mean, people are still talking about that conference 20 years later. That's how impactful it is. Radio, media, they still bring it up. I got a call from um, one of the curators of the for the culture tour who was featured on my conference, and he said Al Heyman, who's one of the biggest promoters in the world, probably. He said we were sitting around talking about you. And he said, do you know how dope you got to be that you're in a conversation where Al Heyman's talking about you? And he said,
Wow.
you gave us voice when
Wow.
no one was asking promoters what they thought. No one was asking the videographers and giving them a platform to speak. They were just working in the industry. And so he said it was so impactful how you brought everything together to educate people. But the people that were untouchable were sitting around talking about the business of music. And so I was so young. I said this on, I think, another interview recently. I didn't know about the perpetuation of greatness. So when you
Mm,
create something that's life changing for people, that you need to continue that and make it perpetual. I mean, everything I touch, because of God, not because of me. I'm just a vessel still, but everything
yes.
I touch turned to gold
Yes.
suddenly. And so I
Yes.
didn't know about perpetuation when I
Yes.
came in this industry. I was like, okay, produce a sold out conference, 3 conjoined ballrooms, produce this, produce that. And I was just moving. And I didn't think about continuity. I didn't think about building a legacy at that point in that way. I thought about having a foundation, but it didn't come until 15 years later, you know.
Wow.
But I thought about making an impact continually, but I didn't think about, I guess, continuing the conference. It was so much work. I mean, and it was so, I mean, I talk about in the book how it came to be, and I didn't pay a thing for that conference. The miracle of
Mm.
that conference happening and how many people were involved is
Ooh.
mind boggling. How many industry people were involved. And I remember telling one of my sorors, and I'm not going to give the book away, but I remember telling one of my sorors, God told me I'm not going to pay for this conference. And she was like, you got to pay for everything. So I was like, oh, I stopped. That's when learned, stop telling people your dreams. Stop
Mm.
telling people what God told you, because
Yes.
everything isn't for everybody.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just between you and God, and you just need to keep praying and moving, you
Yes.
know? And so
Yes.
people in the age of social media like to share everything that they're doing. When I talk about stuff, it already happened.
It
You know what I mean?
already
I talk
happened.
about my track record. I could talk about my track record for years and never cover everything I've worked on in 26 years. I talk about stuff that's already happened. I don't talk about what's next. Nobody knows what my next move is,
That's right.
And so I think in the age of social media, people could really learn from that. Everything ain't for everybody. Some things you need to ponder in your heart and just pray and make moves. You know what I mean? And talk about it later. Put it in a book, later. But you don't have to talk about it while it's happening.
No.
Because that's where the
No.
deterrents come in. And
Yes.
all you're really doing is discussing God's blessings with the devil. You know what I
Woo.
mean? Because
So.
people are sitting around waiting to watch you unravel.
Mm.
And so to sit and discuss your plans with somebody who doesn't mean you any good, which could be the masses, because when you put it out on social media, you're putting it out to millions, and there's
That's
no
right.
way to reel that back in,
That's
you
right.
know? So I would say artists, managers, producers, business leaders, stop running your mouth so much about what you're about to do. Go ahead and make it
Woo.
happen.
That's
And talk about it after it's done. Talk about the success story, not about every step you're making, and every move you're making. I think people could, learn from, you know, taking advantage of social media in a way that it allows you to connect with people. It allows people to appreciate, whatever it is you're blessed to accomplish without telling them every move you make.
Now I see somebody putting a request, and I need to know if I know this person. I have to look you up. Molex 11. I have to see who that is because before I let somebody in, I have to know who it is. Let me ask you a question. Now, you spoke about something
Mhm.
very important. They were Al Hyman and they were having a conversation about you. You left a lasting impression and you also built a reputation. Let's talk about that for a moment. How important it is to have the right reputation because people out here don't understand on social media the things they do and you want to be talked about, but you want the right thing to be said. Can you talk about that for a minute? Being careful about even with social media today, your image, who you associate with, and
Yeah.
how you're perceived if you're trying to be a professional or go after some type of professionalism. You know what I mean? Can you talk about
Yeah.
that for a minute? Leaving a
I,
lasting
I,
impression and building a reputation.
well, I mean, I think leaving a lasting impression on people, that's God. Impact is tied to success. And so if you're blessed to make an impact, then that in itself is success. And then money is inevitable when you're unforgettable. So I've never chased a dollar. I know that I made an impact where you're going to be calling again. The project's not going to go unless you call me. So I already know that. I've never chased a dollar. So many people are trying to make a dollar instead of make an impact, you
Right.
know? And so I think that at the beginning and at the end of the day, this is a business. This is a business. So I always tell my clients and, emerging artists, you're either buying tickets or you're selling tickets. There's no middle ground. You're either in the seats or you're backstage, and about to go on stage or perpetuate what's happening on stage, and building that fantasy, for lack of a better word, for the
Mm,
violence,
wow.
And so it's an escape. Entertainment is nothing but an escape. And so if you're sitting around drinking the Kool-Aid and believing that, everything you see is ties to your reality, then you've missed the boat. If you don't understand that you're blessed to have a gift that perpetuates an escape for people nationally, internationally, then you don't understand what this business is.
Right. Now there's a little bit different. Back in the day, they had budgets, they had promotions. They don't have that anymore. Everybody's out there independently doing their own thing. What do you see in the future happening with the music industry and entertainment industry because of the era we live in with social media?
Well, they still do have promotions. You're just blessed to be able to self promote. And like I was saying, with social media, it is a way, if people use it correctly, it's a tool to connect with fans and people who love what you do and want to, espouse to be you. If you use it effectively, it's a way to connect with them and build that relationship that branding and A&R did in the past. But now you have direct access, but you still need to treat it as such. You're
Yes.
creating a relationship with people who appreciate what you do professionally. It's not time for you to act a fool or create sensationalism or, make yourself look stupid publicly, for likes. And so I think if people use it effectively, it would really benefit them in a major way. And they would get the love and the acceptance and the adoration that they're looking for, but I think because the water has been muddied so much with sensationalism and, doing anything for likes, that it kind of hurts the real artist. It hurts the real talent, and they have to work even harder to gain footing and notoriety, if you will. So,
Yeah,
but
because
I would say
people,
keep it business. Keep it
yeah,
business to answer your question. I mean, it's always a business for me.
right.
I'm always looking at the bottom line in
Uh-huh.
terms of how I move, how I engage with people, but even beyond business, I think humanity has its place. And so humanity is the consistency of my career, treating people the way I want to be treated. That doesn't mean I'm going to say yes. I think because I have all my teeth and I smile or whatever, people think I can ask her some crazy shit and she going to go with it. No, that's not what's going to happen at all. I'll still smile and say no. So, but but if I'm coming with some nonsense or something that doesn't benefit someone, I want them to tell me no too. So I'm
That's
treating
right.
people the way I want to be treated,
That's
but
right.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to come to you with something that doesn't make sense. I'm not going to position myself and pretend that I'm partnering with you when I have nothing that you need. You know what I
Right.
mean? But people do that to me all the time, you
Right.
know? And so, I think one, like I always say, know your audience, know who you're speaking to, and don't talk crazy out the side of your neck. um, if you're talking to someone who's already established
Listen.
and has a legacy in this industry, why are you offering them something they can get with a phone call or a text message? You know what I mean? You got to really think of a way to, and I think relationships.
Yes,
I don't have
yes.
networks. I don't have, connects. I have relationships. So
Hmm.
when I call, they answer. And when they call, I answer. There's a connection that you have with people that's beyond business, you know, and caring about what happens to them as people and relating to them, just like organic. It needs to be organic,
It has to be
and
organic.
if you think that we've been in this industry for 20 something years and I can't see BS coming, you're sadly mistaken. If you think I can't see your maneuvers and trying to be my friend or associate or whatever, or offering me M&M so you can ask to drive the Benz, that type of foolishness. You know what I mean? If you
Wow.
think we can't see that, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like, well,
yeah,
you want a piece of gum? And you say, oh, okay, I'll take a piece of gum. Then they ask you for something major tomorrow. Well,
yeah.
so I gave you a piece of gum. Let me ask you for, access to this. And I'm like, well, how's that go?
So
If you
look,
think people can't see that coming, you're sadly mistaken.
yeah, that's
You
true.
know, and just because you're treated with grace or kindness doesn't mean that you haven't been exposed for who you are.
Hmm. So people need to understand that they can't get that, you know, when they run up on somebody who has experience. That's called experience. When you have experience and you have that discerning spirit, you know a fake when they walk up on you. You know a
Yeah.
snake when they come up on you trying to bite you. You can call them out. So let
Yeah,
me
I
ask you
mean,
this right
say what
now.
you want. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, some people try to like position it like business, frame it like business. Say
yeah,
what you want. The answer is going to be yes or no. Don't
yes,
frame it like,
yes,
this is about to happen or I'm
yeah.
offering this. Don't frame it. Just say what you want.
And
The
somebody
answer is either
said,
going to be yes or no.
can you see the comments now? Somebody said, right, don't
No,
take
I
advantage.
cannot.
Wow, I'm so sorry you can't see the comments.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
let me ask you this question. So are you training now with your nonprofit, the CTE Vision Foundation Inc.? Are you training young entrepreneurs now with some of these great skills that you have? Are you imparting that into the children, or what exactly are you doing with the foundation? And how can others get their children in the foundation? Is it only local?
It's CT Vision Foundation, and if you go, can I
Yes,
if I post
yes,
this comment, can you pin it?
yes,
It says
yes.
follow Char-Town Entertainment, but if you go to my link tree on my bio, it has all the links for everything from the foundation to interviews to national news articles, whatever about Char-Town Entertainment. So that's a good start, or go to chartown.com. I think my developer has links for everything on
Yes,
there. So
type it on there, and
okay,
I'm gonna put it in the link for this
can you see
interview and
it?
everything. Yes,
Can you see it to pin
yes,
it?
yes.
Yeah.
I'll put it. Can you see what I pinned?
Yeah, I can see it when it is pinned. You have to
Okay.
touch it and then hit pin.
No, I'm saying, can you see it? I pinned it. I'm asking you, can you see it?
Oh, can I see this pin? No, it's not pinned yet.
It's pinned on my side. That's why I'm
Oh,
asking
I
you.
don't know. Maybe mine is not updating because I can just see my comment. So no, I can't see
Wow.
anything.
So, Sean, you have such a wealth of experience, and I can tell that people gravitate to you because they know that you're genuine. And so, what next? I know you wrote the book, and let's talk
Mhm.
about the book and how they can get the book from you, and how did the book come about?
The book, you can order the book by going to chartown.com in the comment. Or you can go to, my IG page here in the bio. There's a link tree. And so it'll say order the book, so you just click on the links. You can also follow YouTube and Twitter and everything else while you're there. Just click, 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 click. But that's how you can get the book. Um, the You asked me two questions, I believe. You asked me about the foundation and what I'm doing with kids. We produce platforms that allow kids to share stages with people they normally wouldn't meet or encounter, much
Wow.
less perform with. So one of the major events that I've produced since the infancy of the foundation is Jokes and Jazz. And so that's national musicians, national comedians come and perform. And then I get exceptionally talented kids, sometimes exceptionally talented disadvantaged kids from the different schools and colleges and things of that nature. And they work in different capacities. and get to share stage with people they would never meet. So there have been so many entertainers who have come and supported the foundation. Frank McComb, my best friend Tony Rock, Silver Logan Sharp, uh, Aaron Myers, jazz sensation, just so many people who have come over the last 5-6 years to grace the stage. And I mean, the kids' faces when they're up there playing, like, because I'll have music. I made my music director like 17 years old, music director for
Wow.
Jokes and Jazz. So
Wow.
they're coming in, the professional jazz artists are coming in and jamming with the kids who are exceptionally talented, and I make them music director. I make them, over the band and things of that nature. So they have positions of power and influence even at a young age, and be working with professionals, and they're meeting for the first time that night. And sometimes they get lost in the sauce because they can't believe who they're performing with, and so, but the excitement is, I mean, that warms my heart. And
Yes.
so that's one of the things we do. We do film clinics, we do workshops, we do internships, we do Q&As and life classes at the high schools and at the colleges. I get a lot of speaking engagements to talk about the business of music, the business of entertainment. And so it's kind of perpetual, but everything is on ctevisionfoundation.org. And so that's where you can find out more information. I think that link is also in the link tree. And a lot of my friends have come on board to help me
Excellent.
and be my board members. And some of them were my babies in the entertainment industry when they were first starting out. Now they're multi-platinum producers or whatever. Jay Deal is one of my board members. Jay Deal is Janet Jackson's assistant music director, but he was 20 years old when we met back in the day. And so he was just a young, musician trying to figure it out, and, rose to amazing heights. He's worked with Mary Mary and Snoop, and, now he's multi-platinum. Ishmael Monet Wild Jones, music director for Bryson Tiller and Post Malone, also produced two of Rihanna's albums, is one of my music babies, but he works with me also. Tony Rock, Mike Epps, my homies, they work with me and on the my national board, as ambassadors.
Excellent.
Brenda Stannis from Good Times, Thelma from Good Times, Ernest Thomas, the late Tommy Ford was also one of my board
Oh,
members.
yeah.
We've been friends since we worked together in 2002. And so, yeah, it's a lot of people that have really come and helped me. John Nettles Bay, Mariah Carey's music director, is one of my board members. I mean, it's a top heavy board of directors. My relationships run so deep, and I was so honored that they volunteered to help me when I started the foundation, said, we want to be a part of what you're doing. And so I think that's the biggest testament to how God has moved in my life and allowed me to touch people's lives, that when I start something, they take it seriously and want to be a part of it. And that's what I think you should espouse to, those type of relationships, not usury, not trying to figure out what you can get out of people, but live a life so that when you make moves, people want to support it
Let me,
automatically without you asking,
that's
you
what
know?
it's all about, having
Yeah.
that. So let
So.
me ask you this question. When you do your next project, is it a
Mhm.
project where people can come from other states? Like when you do the thing with the organization, can children sign up that are outside of the Chicago area, or do they have to be from Chicago?
Well, I'm not in Chicago. I don't know why
What?
people think I'm from
You know
Chicago.
what? You know what? You know what? When I hear Char-Town, that's what it is. Because I always think of Chi-Town, Char-Town, and that's exactly what it is. So I don't know why, because
No,
you
the
you
name of
you
my
stand.
company has nothing to do with Chicago. I actually talk about where the name Char-Town Entertainment came from in the
Is it from
book.
your name?
So read the book and you'll know where Char-Town Entertainment came from and how it came to be.
Oh, so you're not gonna tell us?
No,
You want people to get the book. Oh, wow. Now
I
that's good.
really do.
That's a good way to get the book. Well, I want the book anyway because I know that you have a lot of good things in there
I mean,
that'll
it's
help.
so many things in there, like how I landed my first clients unexpectedly, how I got the first job or the first position, what that prayer was, what it looks like when you jump out on faith and you trust God completely, but you feel like you jumped out there too far and you start to doubt, where you are. And I mean, that happens. Anytime you're stretching out on faith, there's
Yes,
going to be a
yes,
moment where you
yes,
start to question, did I jump too far? And
yes.
I had that moment. It talks about those moments. So it's not a watch me win book. It's a very real depiction of what it felt like to embark on something you knew nothing about, but God said, this is where I'm positioning you. And
Let me.
that's what it really was. I had no dreams of being in this industry whatsoever.
So somebody said they can hear. Can you hear me? Okay, because somebody said it was
I
hard to
can
hear
hear
me.
you. Yes.
Okay. So, what is the hardest lesson that you had to learn in the business of entertainment?
Um, the hardest lesson that people can be very selfish, in their approach to you. There's a lot of, it's not even about entertainment, it's about life. So it's more like life lessons. People try to, you know, encapsulate this industry and make it seem like this, unknown devil, but it's really a microcosm of life, so I had to learn that everybody doesn't move the way I move. Everybody doesn't love the way I love. Everybody doesn't, the same way you treat people is not necessarily the same energy or the same way everybody's going to respond to you, and so sometimes people get frustrated and they start to list, what they've done for other people. Like, I did this for them and they didn't look out and they didn't even put me on. And they didn't. You gotta stop looking for your blessings to come from those to whom you've been a blessing, and just know this perpetual, that every time you plant a seed, it's growing. It might not
Mm,
grow when you think it's going to grow, or the same spot you thought you planted it, but it's going to grow. And so stop looking for an even exchange from people. Well, I put
mm,
them on and they didn't put me on, or they have a project and not call me. And so I had to learn that everybody doesn't move the way I move, and my blessings are not going to come from the people to whom I've been a blessing. But
right.
I've been overwhelmed with blessings. So they still came. It just didn't come from the direction I thought it was going to come from. So stop looking at that person you just blessed and expecting reciprocation immediately or ever. Just know that if you plant good seeds, good things are going to happen, you know?
That's right. And now I see that you've gotten some philanthropic awards here too, and
Yeah.
you've been recognized for a lot of different things. So you're leaving a legacy for sure. And what would you like your legacy to be?
I always wanted kids. I never had biological children. I talked last night or the night before when I was interviewing someone. I don't know if it was Alex Thomas or maybe the next night after that. My cousin was like my sister. She passed away suddenly
Oh,
a
I'm
year and a
sorry.
half ago, and her three children were my godchildren, and so I became a mama for real.
Hmm.
Suddenly, and so that's been rewarding because I've always been in their lives, and I've always said those my kids. You gave birth to them even before her untimely death. That's how close we felt to each other. But children are important to me. I've had a long history of developing programs, um, funding programs for kids. I started in college with a special school for mentally and physically challenged children, including crack babies and all of that. It was a school right behind Morgan State University, my undergrad. And for years, I sponsored out of pocket five events a year for those kids. Visits from Santa Claus, bought toys every Christmas for 100 kids, and out of pocket. I just wanted to. I didn't have any kids. I was making a lot of money, even at a young age, right out of college. And so I would just pay for all these events and pay for all these toys and stuff for all these kids and everything. And so after about 5 or 6 years of doing it, the principal asked me, she said, you produce all these events, you send puppet troops and clowns, and you buy 100 more toys for 100 kids, not 100 toys for 100 kids every single year. You pay Santa Claus to come visit them and all the stuff you're doing throughout the year. Who funds this? And I was like,
Right,
I pay
right.
for it. She's like, out of pocket? I was like, I do. She said, but you're so young. I said, well, I've been blessed. And it did my heart good to see the kids react, and to build that bond with the kids. And then during the same time, I started raising money for kids with cancer. And I produced my first bowl-a-thon at 19 years old while I was in college. And I ended up talking to the president of the foundation. So when I got out of college and I started making, real money, I started making real donations, to them. So I'm paying for the school of special kids. I'm making, huge donations to the Children's Cancer Foundation. And so eventually I was nominated as the youngest, the only Black, and the only woman besides the president to the board of directors. And so the board of directors was comprised of the North Atlantic Regional Vice President for Coca-Cola and the Vice President of Pepsi Corporation and Hyatt I'm sorry, Hilton Hotels and E&J Wineries. And so it was a heavy board of directors and me. I was the entertainment head on the board, so I started my entertainment company so young. But since then, I've donated over $400,000 to kids with cancer, and my name
Wow.
is on the board for on the walls of 10 major hospitals and oncology units for kids at Johns
Wow.
Hopkins, Children's NIH, Lombardi Cancer Research, University of Maryland Medical Center, Cedars-Sinai. And so you can go in Char-Town Entertainment, and
Yes.
Char-Town McMillan is on
Yes.
the benefactor wall at every single one of those oncology units, and
Amazing.
so it's been a blessing to be a blessing
Yes.
to
Yes.
kids who have
Yes.
challenges, so in college, starting with, the kids who have special needs and also the kids with cancer. I just know that I've lost so many people in my family to cancer. And I know how overwhelming and devastating it is to see an adult with it. You haven't seen anything until you see newborns born with different cancers. And
Woo.
the visionary behind the foundation, I work so diligently with her to help build those facilities and help implement those programs. And even beyond, the donations and stuff I'm talking about, I paid for the skate party with Santa and gift certificates for 400 kids every single year. And so anything that will make them smile, anything that will make
Wow.
them smile at Christmas. I mean, to me, there's no cost, for a child that has been dealt, challenges. I won't say an unfair hand because that's God's will for their life, but to make them smile for a day or for a moment, that's worth everything to me. There's no check you could ask me for that's too big to make a kid smile,
Wow.
and so that's always been a part of my heart, and so I just know that there's so many gifted kids and young kids, especially in, impoverished areas and, and sometimes they might not even have people hidden genius, like my friend Mike Epps, that's hidden genius, when he was
Yes.
younger. A lot of these comedians, hidden genius, Tommy Davidson, hidden genius, Sinbad, hidden genius, where they're young black men who don't learn the same way as everybody else. So you want to put them in a box and act like something's wrong with them. And then they grow up to be millionaires. They grow up to be the top of their industry because you didn't know what excellence looks like. You don't know what genius looks like,
Wow.
because you're not tapping into the children. You're tapping into trying to go home at 3 o'clock, instead of realizing that every child doesn't learn the same. And that doesn't mean they're not amazing, and so I wanted to stand in the gap for those kids who have hopes and dreams. They might not have the money or they might not have the wherewithal for someone to see beyond, them learning differently or processing information differently and realize that there's genius in the midst of that, especially for our young minority kids and, young women, who sometimes don't. And my music director for several Jokes and Jazz was a young girl, young Middle Eastern girl, who played drums.
Wow.
And so I wanted to give platforms to people who normally wouldn't shine. And so that's what motivates me and drives me,
Good.
and so
Woo.
beyond, working with my clients and enjoying that, putting smiles on the faces of kids and helping them believe a little bit bigger, dream a little bit bigger brings me joy. So, yeah.
Wow. And I can hear your passion about the cancer. I understand. I lost my mom, my dad, and my brother to cancer, my sister's in remission. So
Wow.
I've never been around the children. I would never even want to imagine and see that because seeing what I've seen for the adults, that would probably break my heart to see a child go through that. And so
Yeah.
for you to have done all that in those hospitals, my, that is amazing.
We
You
built
have
nurseries for the
yes,
kids who are born
yes.
with cancer. We've
Mhm.
built worship centers for
Yes.
parents, and we've built for all over the world. Kids are being flown in. That's why I'm such, I've known Dr. Carson since I was probably 19 years old. And so I watched his boys grow up. I know Candy. And so it's been almost 3 decades of knowing him,
Wow.
and so, that kind of lent its way. And then Michael Bloomberg, we built the Bloomberg Center. In honor of his
Wow.
mom. So that's how I met Michael Bloomberg before he became a presidential candidate. And so the relationships run deep,
So let me
and
ask you a
so
question. So let me ask you a question. So you funded all this stuff yourself, and you have done so much. Is there a way if somebody wanted to make a donation or contribute? Is there a way they can do that on your page? They can link. And is there something that you have
yeah,
coming up that if people are interested right now, like that young man who said he was watching you, Is there any room for anyone to join your team, or are you looking for individuals
Yes.
for anything?
Well,
Because I know Instagram is going to cut us off at an hour, so I want to make sure you get that in. Are you doing anything right now where individuals can
oh,
reach
you can
out to
stay
you?
on Instagram for 4 hours. I mean, that's a misnomer.
No, they've been cutting people off, Sean, the last
They
couple of
cut you
days.
up. I go 2.5, 3 hours every time.
They
I
they
did 4 hours the other day.
they've been cutting people off yesterday. They were cutting a lot of people off. They're cutting it off for like 59 minutes and something
That's
seconds.
crazy.
Yeah,
But
they
I'm not going to go that long because I have a lot of stuff to do.
yeah.
But I was just saying, they'll send you a notification though before they cut you off. But yes, to be clear, the children with special needs, the elementary school of over 100 children, I funded that personally. The program, the Christmas with Santa for the kids with cancer, I funded that directly. And beyond that, I've donated to the hospital wings and things of that nature, but we're collectively a board of directors. So we've raised over $40 million, for kids with cancer. So it's not a small
Wow.
feat. You know what I mean? And so collectively, we have raised money and donated and underwritten programs and things of that nature. And so I am the single largest non-corporate contributor in the history of the foundation, the Children's Cancer Foundation, though. And I go toe to toe with Coca-Cola and major corporations in
Yes,
terms of donations
yes.
and making programs happen. And so that's been historically. I've also been the keynote speaker for our $3 million campaign we do with Giant Foods. And so when you see the little trilogy of the three children at the Giant Foods, and when you check out, it says, will you donate? That's our foundation, the Children's Cancer Foundation. So I've been the keynote speaker for that. And when I spoke right before the pandemic, they raised $4.5 million 6 months early. And so the president of Giant Foods called me
Yes,
and they said, after you spoke,
yes,
our managers and vice presidents were so charged up, and so it was dope to speak before 300, executives from Giant
yes,
Foods,
yes.
and because I know the history. I'm the longest standing board member in the history of the foundation. People have come and gone, but I've been there for over 25 years. And so, and I work closely with the president who, passed away several years ago. And so I knew the inner workings of our foundation. So they couldn't think of anybody else better to speak on behalf of the kids and her legacy and the continuation of her vision for kids with cancer. So I was honored to do that.
Yeah, and
And I'm
now if
also the
anybody,
natural spokesperson for the Children's Cancer Foundation at the
if
Maryland Proton Center as well.
if anybody sees this live and they want to make a donation, where would they go to?
To make a donation to CT Vision Foundation, which is my foundation, you can go to ctevisionfoundation.org, and you can make donations there. The Cash App CTE614 goes directly to the foundation. That's CTE Vision. That goes directly to the foundation as well. And so that's pretty much it.
Yes.
So
So yeah,
yeah, you can go
y'all
to
go back.
ctvisionfoundation.org. I think there's a link, if I'm not mistaken, on Char-Town.com for the foundation as well. I'm pretty sure my developer put that there as well. But it's CT Vision Foundation Incorporated, and ctvisionfoundation.org is the website. So I think that's under my link tree and on Char-Town ENT as well. So hopefully that helps.
Are you accepting any new artists or anyone to work with you right now? If there's anyone interested, like the young man was looking for someone who said he was watching you, are you taking any new artists or doing anything right now where any individuals have room for any way associated with you?
I don't want to, squash any dreams, but historically, I haven't worked with new artists, and so most of my clients are national and
Established.
are established artists. Now, I do sometimes do consulting for rising filmmakers and artists and comedians and things of that nature, and do business consulting for different clients, and so that's not the same as, management or taking them on as a management client, but I do a lot of business consulting for various entities, from business leaders to rising entertainers. So hopefully that answers the question, because a lot of times
Yes.
people think they want management, but what they really want is they know or they see people who are extremely connected to the people they hope to meet or work with, and they think it's a natural progression. And like I explained, relationships are cultivated.
That's
And
right.
so they're not handed off. Like,
That's right.
just because if I signed someone, my mama don't become your mama. She
That's right.
doesn't.
That's
That's my
right.
mama.
That's right.
So people need to
That's
think of it
right.
on that term. You know what I mean? Like, if I sign with her, then all these people will love me. And I was like, my mama not gonna like you more because you signed with me. She's like, that's my daughter. Who's this? Who's that? That's the same thing. You know what I mean? So relationships are cultivated. And the thing people need to understand, they probably will understand more when they read the book. I didn't want to be put on by my mentors. I never worked for BET, but Bob Johnson was my mentor. I never worked in the White House, but Colin Powell was my mentor. I didn't want to be put on. I wanted to understand the mindset of a mogul. There's a difference. You know,
Yes, it
so I
is.
never wanted anybody to put me on. And so I've always been producing and creating my own lane and creating opportunities for other people. That's what made me CEO. Not
Yes.
trying to be put on, not trying to figure out
Yes.
where I can jump on your project. I don't jump on
Yes.
anybody's project. I
Yes.
create projects. I
That's right.
create opportunities.
That's it.
And then I put you on.
That's
You know
it.
what I mean? So that's the difference. It's a different mindset. Everybody wants to be put on.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
create something
That's
and make
right.
and have the people you dream of working with pitch your idea to them.
That's right.
That's a business mindset. That's entrepreneurship,
And I heard,
not being put on.
I hope y'all heard that. She said, create something, be creative. So let me ask you this for anyone who might be out there because we're not going to have time to let them ask questions. Anything that you want to say to anyone without me asking you a question in closing comments, any message you have, whether it's a project coming up or we know about the book, give them the website for the book. Any closing comments regarding a comment that you want to give out there for an aspiring artist, or if you're available for a consultant, how they can reach you, please give them that information.
Char-Town.com, contact us is how you get messages to my office. Be specific. You know, don't, and I would say this, there's this misnomer on social media, and I think it's learned behavior. Maybe somebody's telling artists or emerging people to, you know, say hi. If you say hi to me, I'm not responding. You know what I mean? I was like, 'cause I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? If you wouldn't walk up in the store to a stranger and say hi, you know, wouldn't you think somebody was crazy? They walked up to you and said hi and then stared at you. That's what it looks like when you get a DM that says hi.
Wow.
So be specific about what you're saying. Hi, I'm an aspiring artist. Hi, I'm doing this. Or hi, I had a question about this. Be specific. If you're going to be bold enough to jump in the DM, be bold enough to ask the question. You
Yes.
know, don't say hi. If it doesn't make sense in real life, it doesn't make sense in entertainment.
Yes.
You know, so go ahead and say what you want. That's what I said at the beginning of the interview. Go ahead and ask for what you want. Stop playing games. And, you
Yes.
know, be specific about what you're trying to do. The answer is either going to be yes, no, or they're going to point you in the right direction.
Yes.
One of the three. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, people have this misnomer about the entertainment business. If it doesn't make sense in real life, it definitely doesn't make sense in the entertainment business. You know, so if you have a question or you're trying to get in contact with someone or there's something you want, tell them what it is. Don't say
Yes.
hi or hello. Nobody knows what to do with that. You wouldn't know what to do with it if a stranger walked up to you and said hi
Yes.
and just stared at you. That's what it's like when you DM someone and say hi. What are you
So
going to do with that?
so if someone wants to hire you as a consultant, you heard what she said. Leave your name and be specific. Tell her who you are and what you're looking for specifically. Give some contact information. Don't just send a message. Make sure she can reach you and give her enough information to look you up to decide if she wants to contact you back because she may choose who she's going to respond to. Am I correct?
Think about what you would want if you were in my position or someone else's position and you're sitting there in a position to help them, even on your regular job, whatever that is. You know, somebody walks you hi. You don't know what to do with that. Say you a cashier, hi. And they just staring at you. You don't know if they want a refund or return. You don't know what to do with that. Be specific. I'm here because this is my concern. This is what I'm trying to do. I have a question about this. Regular life, apply your regular principles to the entertainment industry. Stop being out here bugging. I love y'all, but stop bugging out here. So go ahead and say what you want.
And she couldn't have put it no plainer. I mean, you heard it directly from her. She's giving it to you straight. She gave it to you straight. I mean, there's no other way you could take it except that, you know. I want to thank you so much because, like I said, I know the last couple of lives they've been cutting me off, and my clock says 9:58, and I don't want it to cut off, and then you don't get a chance, and I don't want to make sure I don't miss the opportunity to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Your reputation is impeccable. The things you have done is admirable, very impressive, and keep going. My prayers go out to you, and whatever it is that you get ready to do next, if there's anything I can do ever, let me know. If you ever want to come to North Carolina, let me know. You
My
know,
family's in North Carolina, so
yes,
that's where
yes.
I'm based. What part are you in?
I'm in the Raleigh area.
Okay, my family's in Greensboro, Brown Summit, but all over North Carolina,
Yes,
Fayetteville,
yes.
everywhere. My uncle, who is very sick right now, we've been dealing with that behind the scenes, but the new firehouse in Greensboro is named after him, Ray K. Flowers. He's the first and only
Wow.
black fire chief in the history of Greensboro, North Carolina. So I got deep roots down there. All my uncles are Masons. I think the one who's sick was potentate. I think that's what you call it, like
Yes,
regional
past
something,
potentate.
you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
he was
yes.
all of that, you know, so
Oh,
he's been
wow.
very, very sick the last few weeks. So I've been dealing with that a lot. But yeah, my whole family's from North Carolina. My parents met at NCCU. They've been together
Oh,
over
nice.
60 years.
Nice. Well, I
So,
appreciate you. I'm going to stay connected to you. I love entertainment myself. I have about 30 years in it. I got out of it a while back, but I have some roots in there, and I love to talk to you. And if there's ever a chance that you want to do something here, or the next time you do a big project, let me know. I'd be interested in coming to see what it's all about. And, you know, if you have an event, let me know. I would love to support and come see it. Cancer is, I'm very passionate when it comes to cancer, so please keep me in the loop about that. Like I said, I lost my mom, my dad, and my brother. My sister's a four-time cancer survivor, you
wow.
know, and I take care of her now. She has dementia. She's had three brain surgeries and a stroke.
My
So,
God.
so she is my shiro. You know, she's my shiro
Yeah.
for real. I want to thank everybody for popping through. We won't keep too much
Yeah,
more
I want to
because
say this because you asked me what I would say to artists or people aspiring. One, everybody's searching for their purpose, you know, and that's what my book is really about. You know, the culmination of you know finding my purpose or realizing it was there all along. You know, and so the very thing you're looking for is so innate and obvious that people spend a lifetime ignoring it, and then a light bulb goes off 20 years later. You
one
know,
minute, excuse me, 1 minute 52 seconds. It just gave it to me. The time, the
okay,
countdown.
well, I'm gonna finish this up. Your purpose is so innate, and the thing people mindlessly respond to and love about you. Embrace that thing. Stop looking at other people's lives and deciding that's what your purpose is. Your purpose is the thing that people love about you. Your money maker is the thing that people will mindlessly support about you. Stop ignoring that and acting like it's a hobby. Stop ignoring that and acting like it's not big enough or great enough for you to focus on because it's so easy to you. Your purpose is supposed to be easy. Your blessing is supposed to come freely. And
Mm,
God is going to open that up, and the universe is just waiting for you to stop tripping and
mm.
be what you were born to be. You were stopping you from being successful at everything you ever dreamed of. Stop ignoring the thing people mindlessly love about you. Embrace it, ride it till the wheels fall off, and then watch everything come to fruition. Have a
Yes.
blessed night.
Okay. Yes,
Char-Town
y'all guys.
Entertainment.
Thank you so much. And you know, that's the thing I said about artists. You see, that's what I said back when I did it. I said the artist is nothing without the gift, and the gift is nothing without God. So you have to have God in it. You heard what she said. Please follow her. Use the arrow. Follow Char-Town Entertainment. Go get the book. Go get the book. Go get the book. You'll get the rest of it in the book. I'm going to get the book. I'm going to share this with you. I'll collaborate with you so we can have this
Okay.
on there. God bless you all. Please stay encouraged. We'll see you next week. Next Sunday night, we're back with Chris Thomas.
Oh,
And
that's the
God bless you.
homie. I love Chris.
Yes, yes. He's coming to Raleigh for a big show. So it's a kickoff for the
Okay.
show. And good night, everybody. Thank you.